Long ago, there lived a king who was married to a beautiful queen. The queen died during the birth of their beautiful daughter. Years passed, and the king found a new queen. She too was beautiful, but selfish and very vain. She loved to look in the mirror, put it in her hand, and say, "Mirror, mirror, in my hand, who's the most beautiful of the land?" And the mirror would reply back, "You are, my dear. You are the most beautiful of the land." This made the queen quite happy. Now the princess had grown to be stunning with beautiful long hair and a sweet complexion. She certainly was prettier than the queen. Soon, she became engaged to a handsome prince. Now, just after the news of the engagement, the queen asked the mirror again who the most beautiful was. But this time, the mirror replied, "You are quite pretty. However, the princess is the most beautiful of the land." Oh! The queen was furious. She demanded her servant take the princess to the woods and tie her to a tree. The servant halfway listened. The princess was led to the woods, but she wasn't tied to a tree. The princess wandered. She wandered through the woods and she came upon a house. She decided she would go inside the home. The home looked well kept, but just a few things out of place. She decided to tidy it up, and then she took a nap. That evening, 7 knights returned to their home. They noticed something was different. The house was very clean, but then the princess awoke. She apologized that she disturbed their home. Now the knights, they were very good-hearted and took her in as their sister. One of the knights actually grew very fond of her and wanted to marry her. But the princess declined. She was in love with someone else. Now back at the castle, the queen took her mirror in hand to confirm her beauty again, but learned that the princess was still alive. When the mirror replied, he said, "The princess is the most beautiful in the land." The queen was outraged again and went to handle the princess herself. She dressed up as a little old lady and befriended the princess with a beautiful, delicious red apple. Now the princess took the apple, and that evening she was really hungry as she waited for the knights to return home. She took a bite. Soon the knights returned to find her lifeless. They were very sad, and they wanted to give the princess a proper burial. So they put her in a coffin and put her in a cave. All this time, the prince, who the princess was so in love with, was looking for her. He asked the moon, the sun, and finally the wind, who took her to where she was. He was heartbroken. Sobbing, he bent over and leaned in to give her one last kiss. The princess awoke. "How long have I been sleeping?" The two embraced. They went back to the kingdom and married. Now the queen, she died of anger. But the prince and the princess, they lived happily ever after. The end.